Morning, Aid.
Morning, Ray. Morning, Natalie. How excited are you, Natalie? Honestly, absolutely, literally buzzing,
I
dare I
mean,
say it?
I'll allow the pun.
Thank
But yeah, I honestly, I still can't quite fathom it because to have won the playoff final, just to win a playoff is surreal in itself. And then to realise that it's got us into the Premier League, I still haven't really computed it, if I'm quite honest. But I'm very excited and just looking forward to hopefully an interesting campaign for us.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about with Brentford, and one is obviously Ivan Toney, who we both know
Mm,
very well.
yeah.
Just seeing how he fares in the Premier League, but also the atmosphere of that ground. I was there for the playoff semi-final against Bournemouth, and it
Mm,
was truly sensational. It was,
yeah.
and that wasn't even full. So, if it's the right atmosphere, right kind of game, everything's right about it. It could be one of the best atmospheres in the Premier League this season. It's a brilliant ground.
Aid, you're at Stamford Bridge, and obviously the big news on the back pages today is Lukaku signing. Obviously gives them a much better chance of probably challenging Man City, Man United, Liverpool for the title. And it'd be intriguing to see how Patrick Vieira does, my old teammate, Crystal Palace. I was just asking Natalie in the break to see how he's done pre-season. I haven't seen many of their results, but I'm hoping he does really well because he's a top lad.
Yeah, I'm hoping it goes well as well. I just wonder if it's a massive transition, isn't it? Losing Roy Hodgson and Ray Lewington, two key men at Crystal Palace over the last few years. And they've also lost a lot of first teamers as well. As we know, a lot were out of contract. Van Arnold's gone, Klein, Dan, Cahill, Townsend, Sacco. So lots of senior players have left the football club. He's brought in some good young players. Michael Elise at Reading was probably the best player in the Championship, arguably one of the best players, certainly the best young player in the Championship last season. Mark Gui from Chelsea has come in as well. He was at Swansea last season, and Joachim Anderson, who went down with Fulham. So
Mm.
you're looking at players without proven Premier League experience, but we know they're good players. So I'm intrigued by it. I would have liked it to have been Patrick Vieira after Roy Hodgson, if you know what I mean. It's
Mm.
such a big transition at Crystal Palace that you wonder which way it's going to go. But I just hope they give him time, which they haven't done to certain managers in the past. I think tomorrow, though, it's going to be a tough one. Yeah, I'm at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea signing Lukaku is the game changer. I think that is what takes Chelsea to the title. Because if you look at Tuchel last season, he was there for half a Premier League season, 19 games. He got 38 points, double that. And I know it's unscientific. That's 76 points over a season, which was not a million miles off the title. But Lukaku makes the difference for me. His goals, finishing those chances, plus the fact VAR has been tweaked. So basically, all the goals that Werner had disallowed last season will count this coming season. So they're going to be great to watch. Chelsea is going to be full of goals.
Well, that's what they'll be hoping for ultimately by bringing in Lukaku, because I think they scored 25 goals in 19 games under Tuchel in the Premier League, which obviously is very below par and not what they would have expected when you consider some of the chances they had. Defensively, they were brilliant as well. I mean, I think they only conceded 13. I sort of feel a little bit a bit of sympathy for Werner because he's come in for a lot of stick. He's moved over from Germany. I think him and Havertz both talked about how difficult it was to adjust to life moving over from Germany. And also when you consider they came over during COVID, they weren't able to necessarily travel home have the home comforts as they would have liked and have their family over here as much as they'd have liked as well. So I do have a bit of sympathy for Timo Werner and hope that if he does stay at Chelsea, is able to sort of kick on and become the player that we want to see him become.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm a big Werner fan. I think his movement is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
works
It
so
was
hard.
Yeah, he was unlucky, I think. But I think when you're using him, if they'd have played him with Tammy Abraham last season, I think we might have seen a different Werner on a regular basis. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think when you've got Lukaku there and Werner in and around him, I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Let's not forget Tuchel beat Pep Guardiola 3 times, in his short season, half a season at Chelsea. That's pretty phenomenal. And 5 of the 13 goals they conceded were against Sam Allardyce's West Brom at home, which is surreal when you think about it, but it tells you that his priority was tightening up defensively. Tuchel, when he came in, that happened. Oh, and he only went and won the Champions League as well, so it wasn't bad.
Aid, any surprises? Do you think that obviously the odds are big? The top four will be the top four, as we know:
Yep.
Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, and Manchester United. Any surprises can you see this season?
Well, I think Chelsea will win in the title. I think Chelsea will win the title, and that to many will be a surprise, I suppose. But I'm fascinated by how Arsenal are going to do, as always, Ray. You know
Of
me.
course.
But their business so far, and listen, I'm going to do a Souness and say, the window isn't finished yet, so let's wait and see until that closes. But Arsenal's business, Ben White does improve them. I just heard an Adam Cattrall clip there saying, does he improve them? Definitely, he does. But there's quite a number of defenders would have improved Arsenal's situation last season. Centre backs were what they needed. Their midfield tonight, could it be El Neni and Xhaka? I mean, have they moved on at all? So I do wonder what's going to happen with Arsenal. I don't see them going down. It's just, are they going to have the first bottom half finish since like the 70s or whatever? And I'm fascinated by Villa. And I think that Villa won't be as good as people are making out. They have lost Jack Grealish, who is huge, a huge player. You can't just say, oh, they've signed Danny Ings, they're going to be okay. This is Jack Grealish we're talking about. And they've lost two key coaches, Richard O'Kelly and John Terry have left, which, has left me a little bit puzzled with what's going on at Aston Villa. And I think that their season, could go one way or the other. I think usual suspects will be down there relegation-wise. Brentford, but Norwich, Wolves, Burnley, I think will be down there. Transfer business hasn't been good. Newcastle, possibly. Would it be a surprise if Newcastle were relegated? Maybe. So maybe that's the big one. I don't know.
Is it fascinating? It's like you just pointed out, the Richard O'Kelly departure from Villa is intriguing. He's worked with Dean Smith for so very long. Remember him at Brentford, lovely man. Loads of people very complimentary about the work that he has done at the various clubs that he's been at. So that is interesting and a very surprising departure from Aston Villa. But I just want to quickly go back onto you talking about Chelsea being the favourites for you to win the title. Does it change, and it's a big if Harry Kane moves to Manchester City?
It does, but when you hear people saying, well, City, let's assume they're going to sign him. City have got Kane, they've got Grealish. Those are game changers. Everybody else might as well pack up and go home. I don't quite subscribe to that. I think it does change it. Yeah, I'll have to readdress it. As I said, before the end of the transfer window, I'll readdress everything. But I think that Harry Kane always has problems to varying lengths of time with his injuries every season. His numbers are still off the scale. It's incredible. You go back over his seasons, it is beyond belief. The amount of goals he scores in a side that doesn't challenge it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And Jack Grealish missed 3 months of the season last season with injury. So I don't think it's game over if Kane joins Grealish at Manchester City. Obviously, it improves them a lot. And I watched City in the Community Shield last week, and there were only like 3 or 4 players who were going to regularly start, so it was barely a B team, but they certainly lacked a focal point, a striker. Some of the chances Mahrez had, he blazed over. He's not a natural finisher, very, very good player, one of the world's best players, but in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, Man City, if they don't sign Harry Kane, I see them being a bit like Chelsea last season in having a lot of chances but not scoring as many goals as they should. So it's an interesting time. I know Aguero didn't have a great season last season, but I don't think you can lose him from your squad and not miss him. So a striker, I believe, has to come in. Jesus, I'm a fan of, but they need another one. If they get Kane, then obviously everybody's going to make them favourites.
Aid, we loved the Euros. I think it was brilliant, especially at knockout stages, some of the quality of football, but also the quality of the refereeing. Let's hope the Premier League referees have seen how they deal with players on the pitch and, not always quick running to the VAR and making their own common sense decisions. Let's hope that happens this season.
Yeah, as I understand it, there's been some tweaks that we all know about. There's still going to be a lot of subjectivity as to the contact and the intention of the player making contact. Handball is as I see it, is going to be a little bit more relaxed. So you'll get handballs and nothing given, or the ball will hit the hand and nothing given. And we're not going to see the workings of how the offside decisions are made. We're just going to see, I believe, a picture with a broader line, which is great. And that's what I'm talking about with Timo Werner. His marginal offsides last season, they will be allowed this coming season. So, I mean, it's stuff that puzzles me as to how they hadn't foreseen this happening a couple of years ago. This was what really annoyed me about VAR, that, they didn't have the foresight to see what was going to happen. That's your job. You've got to forensically examine what could happen, then address those issues. And they didn't do that. They've waited a couple of seasons. And those are game-changing seasons as well. If you look at the FA Cup final, for example, Ben Chilwell's goal, which was ruled out for a marginal offside, will stand this season. So that's a big game-changing decision. So, yeah, in theory, it should be better. But let's wait and see. It wasn't bad at the Euros. It's still not foolproof. I'm still not a huge fan. But it can't be any worse, can it?
No. Listen, Adrian, thanks for joining us this morning. We're all really pumped and excited for the Premier League returning, and Game Day Live is back as well. It all gets underway from 2:30 tomorrow with Adrian at Stamford Bridge, bringing you all the goals and key incidents as they happen from the 3 p.m. Premier League fixtures and all of the EFL and the rest as well. So a very busy day for Adrian and co to look forward to tomorrow. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Ray Parler and Natalie Sawyer.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.